Today we're going to talk about the critical role of ultra-processed foods and how they've been impacting obesity, particularly amongst the youth.
Dr. Jason Fung is a Canadian nephrologist who has transformed the way we understand metabolic health. His groundbreaking research on fasting, insulin resistance, and chronic disease has exposed how the modern diet is fueling obesity, diabetes, and even cancer. He believes that the diet we are taking daily is far away from nature. It is highly processed and have a major impact on growth of various chronic diseases, including obesity leading to cancer. But here's what the food industry doesn't want you to know. The very foods they market as healthy might be fueling cancer. In this video, Dr. Fung will reveal 5 cancer-fueling ingredients commonly found in our foods, ingredients that the food industry won't warn you about. Avoiding these can lower your cancer risk and act as a powerful defense against this devastating disease. And that's not all. We'll also share Dr. Fung's insights to healthier alternatives and strategies to take back control of your health. But before we uncover things that are secretly feeding cancer, let's hear what Dr. Jason Fung has to say about the cancer paradigm. Dr. Jason Fung highlights the hidden link between obesity and cancer. Excess body fat, especially visceral fat, fuels chronic inflammation and insulin levels, creating the perfect environment for cancer to grow. When insulin levels are constantly high, it supercharges cancer cells, helping them multiply and spread faster since cancer cells thrive on glucose. Our food industry is loaded with this kind of insulin-spiking ingredients. But why don't they tell you this? Because admitting the truth would cost them billions. Many of the chemicals and additives used in processed foods are known to cause inflammation, insulin resistance, and even DNA damage. Yet, instead of warning consumers, food companies continue to use misleading labels using words like natural, low-fat, and healthy. Now that we know the risk factor, let's uncover the cancer fuels that are all around us. But before we continue, this content is provided for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions about your health or a medical condition. Do not disregard professional advice or delay seeking it because of something you have read here. With this, let's dive in. Imagine walking into a grocery store. Rows of colorful drinks, cereals and snacks promising low-fat or healthy choices. But hidden inside many of these products is a toxic ingredient the food industry doesn't want you to question: high fructose corn syrup.
And then it kind of takes a bit of a downturn. But if you look at the obesity prevalence and the amount of high fructose corn syrup that we're eating, you can see that they actually look pretty similar, right? So this is the obesity and this is total amount of fructose. They look pretty similar. So a lot of people saying, well, since it looks so similar, there's an association, is that the real problem? And really, I don't think that was really so much the problem. I think that, between high fructose corn syrup and sugar, they're actually fairly similar chemically. If you look at what happened was that the high fructose corn syrup was actually simply replacing the sugar. So you're just substituting one for the other. But since one was cheaper, they could put more into your foods. But I don't think that it was the high fructose corn syrup per se, but the total amount of sugars and sweeteners, you can see, was the problem. And what is the problem with fructose really? Because for about 20 years they said it was better for you because it didn't raise your blood sugars, right? So they would sweeten foods with fructose and it wouldn't raise your blood sugar. So they said, well, that's good. Well, the problem with fructose, and this has really been recognized within the last, say, 10 years when the tide kind of started to turn against high fructose corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup is a cheap, ultra-sweet sugar substitute found in sodas, flavored yogurts, salad dressings, granola bars, and even so-called healthy juices. But here's what they don't tell you. High fructose corn syrup is fueling the global cancer epidemic. Studies show that excess fructose consumption is directly linked to obesity, diabetes, and even aggressive tumor growth.
Several studies had shown very early on that when you compare glucose to fructose, you get much more of this insulin resistance because of that fatty liver.
In reality, high fructose corn syrup contains at least 55% fructose, a sugar that's metabolized differently from glucose. Instead of fueling muscles or the brain, fructose is processed in the liver where it rapidly turns into fat. This leads to fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation, all of which create the perfect environment for cancer cells to thrive. A 2019 study from Baylor College of Medicine found that high fructose diets accelerated colorectal cancer growth in mice, even without obesity. The researchers discovered that cancer cells use fructose to generate more energy and grow faster, making it a direct fuel for tumor expansion. The food industry has made high fructose corn syrup nearly impossible to avoid, but reading labels is your best defense. Watch out for ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, corn sugar, or glucose fructose syrup. Moreover, when craving something fruity, choose fresh fruits rather than packaged juices, which often contain hidden sugars and preservatives. And most importantly, opt for water or unsweetened beverages instead of sodas. By eliminating high fructose corn syrup, you're removing one of the biggest cancer fuels from your diet. Hold up. Did you know inflammation is one of the biggest causes of cancer, heart disease, and aging? And most people are making it worse with what they eat. That's why I put together the Anti-Inflammation and Immunity Smoothie and Juice Guide. 80+ science-backed recipes designed to stop inflammation, boost immunity, and help your body heal. Grab your copy now from the video description below. Moving on. If you think swapping high fructose corn syrup for sucrose is a safer choice, think again. The food industry has convinced us that table sugar, or sucrose, is natural and harmless, but in reality, it's a silent driver of metabolic chaos.
So even in 2006, the Americans, so this is only, 6 or 7 years ago now, the American Diabetes Association says you can substitute sucrose for other carbohydrates. So that is, instead of eating whole wheat or whole grains, you could eat sugar. It's fine, right? Like, as ridiculous as that sounds, this was the American Diabetes Association. This is their position paper.
Sucrose is found everywhere, from your morning coffee sweetener to store-bought bread, cereals, sauces, and granola bars. It's a combination of 50% glucose and 50% fructose, making it just as dangerous as high fructose corn syrup. And because it's so addictive, food companies add it to thousands of products to keep you coming back for more. But here's the real danger. Sucrose doesn't just add empty calories, it actively disturbs your metabolism, triggering insulin spikes that fuel cancer growth. But how? When you eat sucrose, your blood sugar spikes rapidly, causing the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin. While insulin is essential for blood sugar regulation, chronically high levels act as a growth signal for cancer cells. A 2022 study published in Cancer Research found that high sugar consumption significantly increases the risk of breast cancer and its metastasis. Furthermore, the fructose in sucrose overloads the liver, contributing to fatty liver disease and insulin resistance, both of which are linked to colorectal and pancreatic cancers. Avoiding sucrose isn't easy because it's hidden under different names like cane sugar, evaporated cane juice, and organic raw sugar. The key is to read ingredient labels carefully and eliminate ultra-processed foods. Instead of relying on refined sugar, choose whole food sweeteners like raw honey or dates in moderation. If you need a sugar substitute, stevia or monk fruit extract are better choices as they don't spike blood sugar. And coming up next is an even more deceptive ingredient that hides in plain sight. Before we move on, if you are looking to dive deeper into the worst drinks that feed cancer, be sure to subscribe to the Vitazen Health newsletter linked below. Each week, we share expert-backed tips, delicious recipes, and actionable steps to help you live longer and feel your best delivered right to your inbox. What if the snacks, sauces, ice creams, Sodas and even foods like flavored yogurts you're eating aren't just feeding your cravings, but accelerating tumor growth at a dangerous speed. That's exactly what glucose syrup present in these foods does. Unlike table sugar, which contains a mix of glucose and fructose, glucose syrup is pure glucose, meaning it enters your bloodstream faster than almost any other sugar.
Cancer cells actually many of them are very insulin dependent. That is, in order to grow, they need glucose. They live on glucose. That's what fuels their growth more than anything else.
Glucose syrup is a cheap industrial sweetener used to enhance texture, extend shelf life, and keep you hooked on ultra-sweet flavors. But it spikes blood sugar levels faster than regular sugar, forcing your body to release massive amounts of insulin. To make it clear, it has an extremely high glycemic index, often over 110, meaning it raises blood sugar even faster than table sugar. This triggers an immediate surge in insulin, a hormone that doesn't just regulate blood sugar, it also acts as a growth stimulant for cancer cells. A 2021 study found that cancer cells have an increased number of glucose transporters, allowing them to absorb sugar at a much higher rate than normal cells. Additionally, high insulin levels block the body's ability to burn fat for energy, increasing obesity risk that is a major factor in cancer development. Glucose syrup is often hidden under names like corn syrup, wheat syrup, or rice syrup, so must check ingredient labels before buying processed foods. When you might think you're avoiding sugar by choosing low-fat foods, may face maltodextrin, another cancer fuel, and a highly processed carbohydrate that spikes blood sugar faster than regular sugar. Maltodextrin is found in protein powders, energy bars, flavored yogurts, instant soups, sauces, and even some healthy snacks. It's used as a thickener and preservative, allowing food companies to enhance texture without adding extra fat. But remember, maltodextrin has a glycemic index higher than glucose, making it one of the worst offenders for blood sugar spikes and insulin surges. And not only this, maltodextrin rapidly breaks down into pure glucose, leading to a quick and extreme rise in blood sugar. This forces the pancreas to flood the body with insulin. A 2018 study found that maltodextrin alters gut bacteria in a way that promotes inflammation and weakens the immune system, making it easier for tumors to form and grow. And chronic inflammation is a well-known cancer trigger. Look for ingredients like modified cornstarch, tapioca maltodextrin, or vegetable starch in your food labels. To avoid maltodextrin, choose whole, unprocessed foods whenever possible. Instead of flavored yogurts or protein powders with hidden maltodextrin, opt for plain Greek yogurt and natural protein sources like eggs or nuts. And here comes the worst of all. For decades, being used as safe, sugar-free alternatives were actually making things worse. That's the shocking truth about artificial sweeteners. Chemicals that promise to help you cut calories, but may instead be fueling cancer. Let's understand how. These sweeteners, such as aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose, are mostly found in diet sodas, sugar-free snacks, flavored waters, protein powders, and even some medications. The food industry markets them as a safe alternative to sugar, but the reality is much darker. Emerging research suggests that artificial sweeteners disrupt metabolism, harm gut bacteria, and may even increase cancer risk. Moreover, artificial sweeteners trick your body into expecting sugar, causing it to release insulin even though no actual sugar is present. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, a condition that has been directly linked to cancer development. A 2022 study, published in PLOS Medicine, analyzed data from over 100,000 participants and found that high consumption of artificial sweeteners, especially aspartame, was associated with a higher risk of cancer, particularly breast and obesity-related cancers. Additionally, artificial sweeteners disrupt gut bacteria, reducing beneficial microbes while increasing inflammation. Some studies suggest that certain sweeteners may even damage DNA, increasing the likelihood of mutations that lead to cancer.
It's unclear why it doesn't work as well as it should, but the bottom line is that the artificial sweeteners are not really much better than the regular sweeteners. So try to cut them out entirely.
Artificial sweeteners are often hidden in diet and sugar-free products, so the best strategy is to eliminate processed foods altogether. Instead of reaching for diet sodas or sugar-free snacks, opt for natural alternatives like stevia or monk fruit extract, which don't trigger the same insulin response. So, that is all for the common ingredients in your food that are secretly fueling cancer growth. However, even by avoiding these foods, there might be a missing piece in the puzzle. Our body needs a diet with balanced amount of minerals and vitamins whose deficiency can also lead to chronic diseases. In our next video, let's find out natural foods that you should include in your diet to keep your body in a balanced state.